Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I was very excited that Jimmy Carr decided to put out a podcast. All of a sudden, there it is, The Big Pitch with Jimmy Carr. On that show, Jimmy invites a celebrity guest to pitch an idea for a film based on one of the super niche subgenres on Netflix. From steamy crime movies from the 70s to Australian dysfunctional family comedies starring a strong female lead, guests pitch the plot, their dream cast, the marketing stunts, and everything in between. And it's up to Jimmy Carr whether it gets made. This is in partnership with actual Netflix. From the press release, where does Nick Mohammed's mind go when asked to make an Everybody's Home for the Holidays film? What's the narrative arc for Ramesh Raghunathan's BRB crying tearjerker? What on earth would Michelle Wolf's coming-of-age animal tale look like? Find out on The Big Pitch. Phil Wang is the guest on episode 1, so I'm doubly in. I love Phil, and I'm a big Jimmy Carr fan. Carr said, by night, I'm a stand-up comedian, but by day, I have a proper job in real show business. I commission movies for Netflix, so if you've ever seen a movie you liked on Netflix, you're welcome. This podcast gives a glimpse behind the scenes of the rigorous pitching process and also a good excuse to mess around with some very funny friends. Jimmy might be the British Kevin Hart. Jimmy Carr, also not afraid to work. This guy's always got stuff going on. One of my favorites, maybe actually my favorite comedian right now. 10 episodes every other Wednesday, but the first one is already out. Jimmy was also recently a guest on Joe Rogan. As I speak this sentence, I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but it is queued up for one of my dog walks. Let's stay across the pond for a second, as they say. This one, not funny at all. A comedian who joked about the Liverpool parade crash had a show canceled following a social media backlash. This from the BBC. In case you missed it, at least 65 people were injured on Monday. A car crashed into the crowd, which had gathered for Liverpool's Premier League victory parade. Comedian Andrew Lawrence on social media posted he would drive through crowds of people to get out of the city. People did not react to that well. His comedy gig was canceled. Lawrence said he was disappointed the venue, quote, had lost their courage after being bombarded with abuse and threats of violence from online trolls. A spokesperson for the club said, we send everyone impacted by the tragic events in Liverpool our support and prayers. Lawrence described the cancellation of his gig as understandable but disappointing. I will reschedule for later in the year at a different venue in Southend. Sorry for the inconvenience. Have a great day. The BBC reminds us that in 2021, one of Lawrence's stand-up gigs in Hampshire was canceled after racist comments he made about England's black footballers. Mark Maron is part of a documentary coming out in August called Anxiety Club. Anxiety Club features behind-the-scenes content and commentary from fellow comedians about how mental health impacts their daily lives. In the trailer, Maron says, most of what I reacted to is something your brain is making up. My anxiety stopped me from having children. Also appearing Tiffany Jenkins, Baron Vaughn, Aparna Nancherla, Mark Normand, Eva Victor, and Joe List. The opening scene of Anxiety Club shows Mark Normand doing a rooftop gig. He says, I love a roof gig. If this goes horribly, I can just jump right off. Joe List is then seen in a comedy club making jokes about how many times his thoughts about his parents dying or him being diagnosed with cancer crossed his mind every day. The press release says all of the comedians in Anxiety Club have created stand-up or sketch material about their mental health that's not only funny, but uniquely relatable and disarming to audiences. Anxiety Club arrives on Jolt August 15th. Eddie Murphy will star in The Pickup. Pete Davidson also in The Pickup. It will be on Amazon Prime Video August 6th. In The Pickup, a routine cash pickup takes a wild turn when two mismatched armored truck drivers, Eddie Murphy and Pete Davidson, are ambushed by ruthless criminals led by a savvy mastermind. With plans that go way beyond the cash cargo, as chaos unfolds, the unlikely duo must navigate high-risk danger, clashing personalities, one very bad day that keeps getting worse. The not-so-canceled Aziz Ansari is part of the cast of Good Fortune, stars Keanu Reeves. This is a movie which will be in theaters October 17th. Good Fortune introduces Keanu Reeves as Gabriel, a well-meaning but rather inept angel who decides to intervene in the lives of a struggling gig worker, played by Aziz Ansari, and a wealthy venture capitalist, Seth Rogen. The not-so-canceled Aziz Ansari told Entertainment Weekly, I'm not buying this. This sounds like Hollywood stuff. When Reeves' name came up in casting, Ansari wasn't so sure. Right, yeah. No, I don't want to be in your movie. No, not at all. He told Entertainment Weekly, that guy, Reeves, just seems like he's on a different planet. You know what I mean? Doesn't seem like we'd be able to interact. When they finally met, Ansari was awestruck to the point Ansari was nervous, not only about working alongside a Hollywood giant he grew up watching, but also directing him. I was like, hey man, We got to hang out a few times, so I'm not freaked out about being around you. You know what I mean? So he was like, I get what you mean. So we hung out, and he came over to my house, and I made him Indian food, and we hung out for a while, and he told me all these stories. Then we went to dinner a couple times, and I tried to really spend time with him to get to know him a little bit so I could become comfortable around him. Good job, publicist. Good Fortune, October 17th, in theaters. More from that Hollywood Reporter roundtable with various comedians. My former coworker Jamie Foxx said I had a special deal for a long time, but I had nothing to talk about. What was I going to talk about? I was rich. I was behind my gates. I remember seeing Eddie Murphy at his house. This was around Coming to America, and he says he's going to go and try and do stand-up. And I say to him, you can't. He says, why? And I say, this ain't funny. Your house is too nice. Whatever that scent is. He had a scent, you know, the stuff that pumps through the house. And I said, what does that smell? And he said, it's pomegranate. And I said, the fact that you know what that is tells me you ain't funny, bro. It was too perfect. And that was me. I was living in that. So I didn't have anything to talk about. Then the stroke happened, and I'm like, oh, this is a platform. But I don't want to have another stroke, even though we have a deal for another hour. As it's the beginning of a new month, let me thank the supporters of the show. They've gone to buymeacoffee.com and thrown some money in the tip jars. Much appreciated, Deb and Tom, Andrea, Gary, Shannon, Mike, Kenny. Appreciate you all. And that is one way to support the show, going to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Another way, you take that same $5, become a premium subscriber to this show, and you'll get this one and a bunch of others on the network, including 5 Good News Stories, which I host 3 days a week. You get the shows commercial-free and no feed drops. If you're on Apple Podcasts, click the banner that says Uninterrupted Listening. If you are on another platform, go to calaroga.com/plus or check the link in the show notes. But supporters, thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. The Atlantic had written a piece about Colin Jost saying the Weekend Update host knows exactly what he's doing. Good take by The Atlantic. They say when Jost first took the job as a Weekend Update co-host in 2014, he came across as a cocky prep school kid doomed to discover that the rest of the world does not share the high opinion he has of himself. Some armchair critics and social media users sighed that of course Lorne Michaels had given the show's most prestigious job to another bland white guy. But eventually, Joe seemed to find that he could win the public's goodwill by acknowledging its disdain. Leading into his unlikability gave Jost a distinctive comedic energy and, funnily enough, made him a lot more likable. Jost found his groove by appearing to accept that many people were eager to tell a guy like him off. He didn't exactly shed his entitled persona, but he settled into a role as sort of a pressure release valve, a way for others to process their cultural anxieties. For example, Sarah Sherman is his greatest tormentor. Sherman demonstrated a talent for nimbly turning every innocuous thing Jost said against him, at one point insisting that he kiss Michael Che and accuse him of being a homophobe for refusing, and when he finally agrees, accusing him of now mocking the queer community by pretending to be gay. Her jokes depict him as representative, fairly or not, of an antiquated mindset that Sherman's open-minded peers are perpetually butting up against. But she also paints Jost as someone who can't win because he's unable to keep up with the speed of her humor, and the more she piles it on, the funnier the exchange becomes. And in this one, I'm leaving all that in. You could see it fried my brain. I don't know what to make of this. Tiffany Haddish and the CEO of Fanatics, the sports apparel guy, they were on CBS this mornings. And for some reason, Tiffany Haddish is involved with Fanatics Fest. The Fanatics guy said they had 70,000 fans show up at last year's Fanatics Fest. So what could they do to make it next level? Well, 8 sports-themed challenges. First place wins $1 million. Second place, a $500,000 Ferrari. Don't forget, you have to pay taxes on that Ferrari. And third place gets a $250,000 LeBron James rookie trading card. Confirmed participants include Tom Brady, Kevin Durant, Kevin Hart, Rob Gronkowski, and quarterback Russell Wilson. Now, why Tiffany Haddish was part of this, I don't know. Is she hosting this? The article didn't tell me. But Tiffany said, I'm very athletic. I was all city and high school shot put. I run fast, jump high, and throw hard. So anyway, Fanatics Fest is coming up, and I guess Tiffany Haddish is going to be there, but I'm not sure. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, please tell a friend about it. They might like it too. We already talked about how to get it commercial free, so I'll just stop talking and I'll see you tomorrow.